The Gray fossil site was discovered in the year 2000 during road construction. In the early months, people were finding fossil remains of all sorts of species from the ancient habitat of Gray, including tapirs, turtles, many kinds of plants, and more. And it was in the summer of that year that paleontologists first identified fossil remains of one of the largest and most fascinating animals at the site, rhinoceros. This might sound strange now, but rhinos roamed North America for millions of years in the past. And even though those first rhino fossils at Gray were only bits and pieces, paleontologists could tell that they belonged to a group called the barrel-chested rhinos. These rhinos lived across North America, and they were a bit different from rhinos that live today in Asia and Africa. The barrel-chested rhinos had short legs, round bodies, no horns on their noses, so they looked a bit like hippos. This was an exciting discovery because it told us something about the age of the Gray fossil site. North American rhinos went extinct around 4.5 million years ago. So the rhino was our first indication that this fossil site was several million years old. We now know that the site wasn't much older than that, somewhere between 4.5 and 5 million years old. This means that our rhinos were some of the last rhinos in North America before they went extinct in this part of the world. In the early years, all the rhino fossils from Gray were bits and pieces, but in 2004, our paleontologists came across an entire skeleton. And then in 2006, they found another one right beside it. These were among the first complete skeletons found at Gray. They were given the official designations of ETMNH 609 and ETMNH 601, or as we came to call them, Little Guy and Big Boy. Little Guy is so well preserved that once all of the bones were cleaned and reassembled, the whole skeleton was able to be replicated and put on display in the museum's fossil hall. With 2 whole skeletons to look at, it didn't take long for our researchers to notice that the Grayside rhinos were a bit strange. For one thing, all other barrel-chested rhinos lived out on the plains, and based on the chemistry of their teeth, they were mostly eating grass. But the Grayside rhino is buried alongside oak, hickory, and pine trees, plus other plants and animals that suggest it lived in a forested habitat. And its tooth chemistry indicates that it was a browser, eating mostly leafy vegetation instead of grass. On top of that, the Grayside rhino is also unusually tall for a barrel-chested rhino. It has longer front legs compared to its cousins. That little bit of extra height might have helped it reach for those leafy greens that it was eating. In the summer of 2019, a team of scientists published a paper that documented all of these features and more, and concluded that our rhino is a brand new species, different from every other known rhino, living or extinct. They named the species Teleoceras Apisoma. Teleoceras is a name that's shared among barrel-chested rhinos, but that apisoma part is unique. It means high body, referring to that little bit of extra height that our species had. We've learned a lot about these rhinos from their fossils at the Gray site, but there's still plenty that we don't know. For example, Little Guy and Big Boy are both adult males, and we don't really have any good fossils of female rhinos at the site yet, so we don't know how different males and females might have been. We also don't have many fossils of young rhinos, so we don't know much about how this species changed as they grew up. But more rhino fossils are found at Gray every year. There's no telling what more we'll find and what more we'll be able to learn in the years to come.